Yes, you may proceed.
Thank you, Lordship. Mr. Esau, with regard to that for Charango plot 51, did you lose interest in it after signing the documents?
My Lord, can you repeat?
Did you
lost interest in what?
In purchasing the plot in Charango?
My Lord, in terms of the buying of that very plot, the interest was there, but my program of activities, as I have testified in my evidence in chief, was very loaded. Because 2017, end of the year, 2017, there was a lot of political activities because it was a Congress year of the party. So I never had, as I've testified, never in fact went back, because after the Congress years of the party, I had to, at least I took a break because of this activities, and also activities pertaining to the office of the Minister of Fisheries then.
Okay.
So I never, in fact, I wanted still to buy that. I wanted to acquire that.
Okay. And in 2019, you do not know whether the purchaser still had that land for you?
2019, it was in 2019, my Lord. 2019, 2020, that's where I have established through the disclosure that this thing was conveyed and paid for 2018, 2019. But I'm just trying to get the years, the timelines in place, my Lord.
Okay. In your office or position for gratification with regard to the appointment of your co-accused persons, Mr. Hatuikulipi and Mr. Nipunya.
My Lord, I became aware of these very charges on the day of my arrest on the 27 November 2019. And also again additional charges that was brought under the Fisheries case. 2000, case number 7, I think, of 2002, 2020, and the one 6, case 6 of 2019, if I think the numbers of the cases, but the two cases, my Lord, I became aware that I am charged for using my office for gratifications.
Okay. And with respect to the appointment of the co-accused persons, it is alleged against you that this was part of a corrupt scheme to access the fishing quotas, in terms of which part of the proceeds would be diverted for personal gain of the accused persons. You are aware of that? As part of the allegations.
I became aware of that, but I also want to state, my Lord, that I rebut those very allegations
Okay.
for accessing marine resources or resources for my benefit or for benefit of any other. And I testified that in my...
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that they were appointed for that purpose, to basically access the quotas for their personal gain. I just want to illustrate to you something insofar as these charges are concerned. You are aware of the allegations involving Loki.
In the disclosure, my Lord, I have picked up that.
You picked it up.
Yes, I picked it up in the disclosures.
All right. And you've also noted what Mr. Jose Luis Fernandez Perez states in his affidavit. Is that correct?
First of all, I don't know that person. I never met him. I don't know. So I have not really paid attention to whatever he was paying in his saying in his affidavit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I have not even added it in my bundle.
Okay. There were several letters that Mr. Luis Fernandez had received from Mike Ngipunya. You are aware of those letters, yes?
In the disclosure, my lord.
In the
disclosure, because I was not party to such correspondence or in the actions.
Okay. I'll just provide to you one letter as an example. We'll not go through all the letters. I just want you to have a look at one letter. Do you have that letter before you?
Yes, I have it here, my lord, which I got now.
Now, that letter is addressed from which office?
Office of the Chief Executive Officer.
For the National Fishing Corporation. And it's addressed to whom?
To Luis Fernandez, MD of Low-Key Investments.
Okay. And what is the title of that letter?
Confirmation 3,000 metric tons hake freezer quota.
It's dated when?
11 December 2017.
Okay. And can you just please read into the record the content of that letter?
Can I?
Yeah, read into the record the content of the letter.
The National Fishing Corporation of Namibia is mandated to implement projects on behalf of the state as per the designation agreement between Fishcorp and the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, whereby the minister allocates quotas for governmental objectives to the group to advance any social, economic, cultural, or other governmental objectives in the public interest. In light of the above, I hereby confirm that a total of 3,000 metric tons, hake in fact, freezer quota for governmental objectives is available for the benefit of low-key investments in this regard. I trust you will find all in order. Yours sincerely, Mike Ngipunya, Chief Executive Officer, Group Chief Executive Officer.
Okay. As the Minister of Fisheries at the time, did you authorize the allocation of these quotas for governmental objectives?
2017, December, 11th of December. I have never authorized, I have never directed, I have never instructed allocations of quotas for the benefit or what? For this company called Low-Key Investments. And that's why I'm saying it seems my name has been used in this process.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my name has been used.
Oh, okay. Now, the allocation as depicted in that letter to Low-Key Investments,
Correct.
from your knowledge, was that part of governmental objectives?
When you go back to those tables of Stee and Fender, just want to draw the attention of our honorable court to Loki 27 WW6. Table talks about low-key investments.
Yes.
This very allocation, quota of 2,250, first of all, differs to what this letter is saying, 3,000. Number two, under the proceeds, first and secondly, number two is that, as I stated, as I have given evidence to our honorable court, my lord, evidence in chief, low-key, there was no record in the office of the minister in terms of right holders. Those records are kept there at the office of the PS in terms of section 43(1), registrar. I go further on the proceeds, quota caught by low-key investments. My law, in terms of the quota caught by low-key, as I've said, I don't know low-key. I never knew low-key. Quota caught by low-key under question of paid to beneficiaries. This one, for sure, is not even talking about the amount. I don't understand this administration as well, with the disclosure. Then again, underpayment quota caught by low-key investments. It's misplaced, but it's supposed to be Namibian dollars. My lord, I am saying that I am not party to such and I am not even copied into this very letter which was sent.
Okay.
But my name, the minister has allocated. The minister does not allocate. The minister approves the recommendations of the allocations of quotas that comes out from the office of the PS, if not the office of the administration or the management of the ministry.
Okay.
We can even go back to the letters of allocation from the PS office to Fisco on governmental objective, quotas allocated. I am trying to get those letters just for the info of the court. I think it's in this file, my lord. It's in another file. Can I?
No.
Fishing quotas for 2016, 17 fishing season. It's letter under file writer 23.
Of which file?
Bundle 2.
What divider? Divider, no?
Writer 23.
23.
Letter dated the 19th of December.
Okay, let me just look. You said it's under divider 23.
My Lord, if I may assist, it's actually under divider number 19, and it is exhibit
QQ1.
QQ7, as it please the court.
All right.
This letter reads as follows. 19th of December 2017. To the Chief, a Group Acting Chief Executive Officer, National Fishing Corporation, PO Box 15, Lutibezi. Horse mackerel quota allocations for 2017 fishing season. I want to read it in the records again, my Lord. It is my pleasure to inform your company that horse mackerel TAC for 2017 fishing season is set at 340,000 metric tons. There is an increase of 1.5% compared to the TAC of 2016 fishing season when it was set at 335,000 metric tons. It goes further that from the set TAC, I hope it's the right one, an amount of 100,000 has been allocated to all right holders on a pro rata, while an amount of 40,000 metric tons has been allocated for governmental objectives, and 200,000 remains in reserve. Therefore, the Minister has approved and allocate 40,000 to your company for governmental objectives for 2017 season, fishing season commencing 1 January 2017 to and expire 31st December 2017. This quota allocation is subject to the standard conditions applicable to your existing quota, and acceptance of this. Acceptance in writing of this quota allocation must reach this office before 23rd of December 2016. That was for the season 2017. Now I can see it's hake. It's for hake here, and this talks about horse mackerel. There must be another letter which talks about hake as well. And this very letters are issued, we'll just give an example of this one, are issued by the office of the permanent secretary, signed off of anyone who's acting on behalf of the permanent secretary. So such letters was also for hake. I am trying to get a letter for hake as well. Maybe horse mackerel. This was not disclosed. This was not disclosed. But nevertheless, my Lord, quotas allocated is not done by the Minister of Fisheries. I mean, by the Minister itself, the Office of the Minister. It is internal memo is normally compiled by the Office of the PS and the administration, PPE. And they, in fact, communicate that allocations of the quotas to the beneficiaries, whether commercial, non-commercial, or from the reserve. Now, my Lord, low-key itself was not known to me as the then minister. I never knew low-key. This letter, for sure, is a misrepresentation of fact to my understanding now when I read this letter and saw it for the first time now. I've never seen this letter.
You said the letter is a misrepresentation of fact.
Correct, my Lord. A fact because it talks about the minister allocates and I don't allocate.
Okay.
Maybe while on that issue, assist me on the two words that are being used, recommendation and allocation. On the one hand, I got an impression that the PS's office or management would recommend to the minister to allocate. On the other hand, I hear as if they also allocate, and it's not the minister who allocates.
Yes, my lord, it is not the minister to allocate, because the applications for quotas are not made to the minister, whether commercial or non-commercial. Applications are made to the office of the PS, and I have made reference to the delegation of duties and responsibilities that was delegated in terms of Section 61(1) of the 61(1) of the Marine Resources Act. That very delegation means it has the the regulation 241 of 2001 came into being, which part 2, Roman 2, part 2, 2.1 says that all applications for rights quotas and licenses are to be launched with the PS. So when they receive those applications, after the TAC is established or recommended by the MRAC to the minister, they look at a criteria of allocation of quotas. We are together, my lord?
Yes.
Mhm. Then they look at the criteria and they calculate the allocation for an applicant of fishing quotas. Then they come out with an internal memo. An internal memo that is prepared by the administration and the office of the PS. Then after preparing that internal memo, they bring that internal memo with the recommendations of allocation for quotas to this or that entity or this or that right holder. So as a minister, I don't get the applications that was launched for quotas. 2, I just get an internal memo, maybe 1 or 2-page internal memo of the allocation of a quota. And that is brought to the office of the minister, and I believe even today, as we are speaking here, for approval what was done by the administration and the office of the PS. So it was not it was not the minister to determine how much tonnages or how much metric tons are to be allocated to this and that. And that is where, by Lord, I came out with an issue of a scorecard and weights as a former minister, which I took to cabinet as well for quota allocations. First, it went through a cabinet committee of trade and economic development. Presentations were made there. I took it to cabinet, but I have not, that thing was not, scorecard was never, ever cassetted. I hope I have cleared the recommendation allocations of.
So, are you saying the PS allocates and you approve the allocation?
My Lord, I approve what is brought to me to sign off.
The allocation by the
I
PS?
accept what was done. Because if I don't accept, my Lord, as I have testified If I don't accept, it is not only that very individual company which is there, but the whole fisheries, that sector. If it's Hague, the whole Hague will have a problem because they won't be able to plan what input they have to do. That is what I was told, and I was briefed as well. Inputs in terms of maybe buying, scheduling for the catches, how many people have to go out to catch them, and all those nitty-gritties are always brought under my attention. So I have to approve what was recommended by the Office of the PS. I am not involved in the allocations. I'm never involved in allocations of quotas, whether commercial, non-commercial, or from the reserve.
And so, in short, are you saying the PS allocates and then you approve the allocation?
The PS and his team allocates. And they come with that allocations. This is what we did, Comrade Honorable Minister. Approve, sign off, because we need to send out these letters. This one, which we said to the industry or to the individuals who have been allocated.
Oh, okay. So they still have to come to you as the person with the final say to approve any allocations.
This is what I found in the ministry, and this is what was happening all along, and I have not changed the culture of the administration. I cannot change administration because it was there developed. I was just there a political head, my lord.
And the delegation of your powers for allocation, in what manner was that done?
I found it there, my lord, through a regulation 241, which I have testified, my lord, because I found the regulation there in the ministry. It was a delegation of duties and responsibilities and functions, in fact, if I put maybe the right word. Those functions and those duties, I found them as delegated to the Permanent Secretary.
Okay.
Then, now called ED, Executive Director.
To be specific, which powers are you referring to?
To delegate the powers of allocation, Your Lordship. Yes, you've explained that.
Yeah, I explained it was the powers of applications for quotas.
Yes. Now, was this done in writing or orally?
The cassette is there, my lord. I mean, the regulation is there.
Okay. So you yourself, you did not take any action insofar as that delegation is concerned. You already found the system in process.
It was routine.
It was routine.
Yeah, it was a routine thing like that.
So there was no need for you to delegate because it's something you found there.
There was no need for me to delegate.
Yes.
For sure, that was cassetted, it was there.
Okay.
That delegation was there. It was in the regulation,
Okay.
241.
Okay.
I was briefed about it when I came into the office. You
Oh.
always get a briefing
All right.
if you get new into the office.
Okay. No.
Non-interference approach.
Okay.
Non-interference.
No, yes. All right. No, I just wanted that confirmation that you did not have any, you yourself, since you already found the practice there, you did not produce anything in writing delegating because it was already there.
It was, the delegations was already there through the regulation, my lord.
I see.
The regulation was there. As a layman, I read it. I said, "Oh, fine. I'm not there to interpret. The courts are there to interpret, and let the courts interpret."
Okay. And when you were appointed as minister, you as minister did not inform the PS, I'm delegating these powers to you, yeah? Because you already found the practice there.
My lord, I cannot inform the PS. No, it was there. I was briefed by the PSs that time when I moved into the office. I cannot. I cannot. I had my approach was non-interference approach.
No, okay. Let's go back to that later. Now, that letter indicates the minister allocates quota for governmental objectives to the group to advance any social, economic, cultural, or other governmental objectives in public interest.
Correct? That's what it says here.
Okay. And do you know what these governmental objectives were?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. And you noticed from the disclosure that there were several of these letters which were written by Mr. Ngipunya to the management of Loki.
I have not seen these letters because I never went, especially in the disclosure, because some of the matters fish core related, I have not really went into. I was looking at what I, as a minister, have done, not what
Okay.
they have done. Because I never validate or verify this
Okay.
this matters of what Stee and Fender.
All right.
No.
I think maybe let me just quickly round this up on this issue. Mr. Perez had also provided a statement in this matter where he indicates with reference to these letters that they were from Mike for governmental objective purposes. And then he received instructions from Mike to pay entities such as Jaco Investment CC, Wanakado Investment CC, and this was in connection with these letters. These two entities, Jaco Investment CC and Wanakado, are you aware of any governmental objectives that they were involved in as the Minister of Fisheries?
Not at all, my lord.
No.
And neither was I in control of any service provider or any service provider list of Fisco.
And that these entities, he further went on to say that these entities provided invoices for services such as vessel repairs, vessel management, but these services were never provided.
I don't know, my lord. I cannot testify.
Here again, relevance. I believe that those charges don't relate to the witness, particularly with regards to those invoices that was presented for payment, as it pleases the court.
Thank you. Your Lordship, I've already indicated he's facing, amongst others, charges of racketeering and corruptly using office or position for gratification. And at the start of cross-examination, I had indicated to him, in respect of that particular account, the appointments of Mr. Ngipunya and Mr. Hatuikulipi, that these were done in order for them to access quotas for their benefits. So I just want to illustrate to him that these persons who were eventually appointed in these positions by the syndicate, this is what they've done. So it's relevant for that purpose in respect of the charge of corruptly using office or position for gratification, Your Lordship, because they were appointed eventually and recommended and appointed for the purpose of accessing fishing quotas.
I thought you were rounding up that aspect.
Yes, no, in actual fact, I'm done with that
Okay.
with that one.
That's fine, you may move on.
Yes, it plays a court, Your Lordship. Okay. You've also received disclosure in respect of the Novanam group of companies.
I don't have that in my files.
It's in the disclosure.
In the disclosure?
Yes.
Okay, fine. If it's there, fine.
Okay.
I have not paid attention to that because it's not any instructions or directives that came from me for payments or entering into any other catch or usage agreements.
Okay. Okay, no, I'll just briefly just put to you, then you can comment. If you have a comment, if no comment is fine, we can move on to the next one. Now, the allegations with regard to the Novanam is that the Novanam group had bought governmental objective quotas, and Mr. Mike had negotiated agreements with them on behalf of Seaflower Whitefish Corporation. This is a subsidiary of Fishco. Do you have any comment on that?
My comment, my lord, is I have never directed, neither instructed anyone to negotiate for catch agreements or to go into arrangements with any of those very entities that is mentioned here. So I don't think that I should really further comment on it, because what I can conclude is that the state is fishing around.
Yes, no, you can come to your conclusions. We'll deal with the evidence when we have to. Mr. Kamano had also said that they would pay Seaflower Whitefish Corporation for the governmental objective quotas, and subsequently Mr. Mike provided for a new payment arrangement where half of the quotas will be paid, half of the payments will be diverted to other entities. Do you have any comment on that?
My lord, let those ones come and testify. My lord, I don't think that I should testify on behalf of what they did, and I cannot shoulder any blame on me for what happened in that regard.
Oh, okay. So far as the payments to Jaco, Fine Seafood, Wanakadu, in respect of the Novanam group of companies, you are not in a position to say what governmental objective projects are involved in.
I cannot say that what are governmental objective projects.
All right.
Because I don't even knew that they were right holders or non-right holders.
Okay.
I never knew.
All right, no, it's fine. We can move on.
Thanks.
Were you aware of the dealings of Mr. Ngipunya and the Samheri group insofar as Fishco was concerned?
Not at all, my lord.
Oh, okay. And you only came to find out with the disclosed docket that there were agreements signed between the Samheri group and Fishco with respect to the governmental objective quotas?
Correct, my lord.
Okay. All right, let me just quickly take you through a letter. I'll not give this to you to read. I just want you to comment on it if you have any comment.
My Lord, not to be a bore, but if my learned friend intends to take the witness through a letter, he must at least provide myself with a copy of that letter, and also the witness with a copy of that letter to acquaint ourselves with that matter, and to, not for me to anticipate what objection I might raise, but I believe it's just fair, my Lord, during any proceedings to provide your learned friend with a courtesy copy, as it pleases the court.
As it pleases the court, Your Lordship, I've provided him with a copy. Perhaps if the court will just allow for him to peruse it. Your Lordship, informed there's no issue if I just read it into the record for the benefit of everyone, and I think just to quickly move through the proceedings.
Yes.
This is a letter dated 16 July 2019 addressed to Mr. Anderson of Saga Seafood from Mr. Ngipunya, signed by Mr. Ngipunya. And the title there is Support for the Supply of Fish Feed for Aquaculture. And it reads as follows. The above subject matter bears reference. As part of our continued support towards aquaculture development and promotion in the country, I would like to authorize your company to support the procurement of fish feed for the aquaculture projects in the different regions. These farms, as will be communicated, are pivotal for food security, income generation capacity, building within the different communities. The total support needed is approximately 9 million and will be done through the relevant entities in the supply and trade of fish feed business. This initiative will be supported through tonnages of quota within governmental objectives. I would like to thank you for your continued support. Please accept my highest consideration in this regard. Are you aware of this letter?
I'm not aware. I just saw it in the bundle of disclosures.
Okay.
Yeah. And secondly, that demonstrates that, in fact, people outside were deciding on governmental quotas, my lord, determining who must get what amount of governmental quotas. Without me knowing, without, I assume, the PS knowing, without the administration knowing. This letter of the 16th of July, 2019, preempting already. I don't know, my lord. That's my comment, my lord, on this very letter that he's read.
Okay. So it preempts that the person will in future receive governmental objective quotas. So it's an assurance in the letter that this is coming if they support the project.
Yes, my lord.
All right.
It looks like that is what the letter is, the content of the letter.
Okay.
Which even myself or the PS was not copied on.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe that's usurping of responsibilities and duties of the regulator by a non-regulator.
So, according to you, Mr. Ngipunya, since he's the author of this letter, was usurping his duties.
He was?
Usurping his duties.
Usurping?
Yes.
It comes out, my lord, out of what was read here. I have also picked up with the disclosure that incentive quotas were granted to some entities. And incentives are not determined by a state-owned enterprise on allocation of quotas. Incentives, my lord, to my knowledge, is in fact factored into the recommendations by the administration of the ministry and by the office of the PS in their submissions, motivations of that internal memo for allocation of quotas. And it has never happened. I've just now, as I said, unprecedented insight with the disclosure.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Esau. All right, let's move on. Your daughter.
Which one? I have 3 daughters.
Miss Hatuikulipi. Okay. Yes. When did she get married?
In the month of October 2011. I don't want to know the exact date, but I think it's the 11th of October, if I'm not mistaken, or the 10th. But there I am a little bit at lost, my lord.
And when she was married, is this when you became introduced to the Hatuikulipi family?
When they came to ask for the marriage with their delegation, that's when I was, in fact, introduced to the gentleman called Thompson Hatuikulipi, who's my son-in-law today. Because I'm a very strict father. You cannot just come in my house if you are not married with. If you are not married, even my son, I don't allow him to come with his girlfriends. That was our culture. That's how I was brought up.
Yes, with principles.
Principles, my lord.
Yes.
Very much so.
Okay. The introduction, when was that?
The production.
To the family, Hatuikulipi family. You said it was before the wedding.
Yeah, it was before the wedding. I cannot recall exactly the time now, but I know it was in 2011.
Okay. Do you recall who was there in that introduction?
His aunt was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, parents don't go along. Normally, they send a delegation.
Yes.
And I was with my cousins, elder cousins, when they came there. We were first informed who was coming. And one of the delegates was supposed to be the late Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Marco Hausiku, who was then the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So he was supposed to be one, but he never turned up. But the rest who came was his wife and a delegation who came to introduce and to propose, in fact.
Okay, maybe to be particular, Mr. James Hatuikulipi, when did you come to know him?
Sure, that's now a difficult one. I don't know. You know, my lord, when I was still with the Union Labor Movement, NUNW, to take you back to history, and I want to be honest, James was working for an asset management company located in GIP, in the government, what's it, GIPF building somewhere there. And I was taken to James Hatuikulipi by one of the chairpersons of the Domestic Workers Union, Hileni Ilonga, who came to introduce me to him. That was in 1990-91, just immediately after independence. From there, I never met him. I never got in contact because the Domestic Workers Union was maybe expecting some kind of assistance from this very entity that he was, and I can recall that.
Oh, okay.
But I've never, in fact, had a discussion or talked to him. When I was a Deputy Minister of Trade, when I became Member of Parliament in 95, when I became a Deputy Minister of Trade in 1999, when I moved to Mines and Energy as Deputy Minister, and even when I was appointed as a Minister of Fisheries in 2010, 2011, no, I met him very briefly, maybe at the wedding, but I didn't pay any attention to this person, or James, because my focus was here on my daughter, to be son-in-law. That was my focus on.
Oh, okay.
Not on James itself. And I never knew even there was a link between him, even if you have the same surname, my lord. There are different Kamuis, but they are not related. There's a lot of Lutibezis, but they are not related. There's a lot of Esau's, but they are not related sometimes.
Okay, so to you, it was just a coincidence that Mr. James Hatuikulipi was at Mr. Temson Hatuikulipi's wedding.
Yeah, you can say that. You know, my Lord, my father is a Shivute. And I cannot say that coincidentally that because the Chief Justice is also Shivute. Then he came up there and there was, we are related. No. I don't look at the surnames of people.
Yes.
My counsel is a Bierkes, but there's a lot of other Bierkeses as well. I'm just trying to draw at Africa is one. We are all coming from the Great Lakes regions as well.
All right, let me ask it differently.
Yes, my Lord.
You now know they are cousins,
Sorry?
Mr. James Hatuikulipi and Mr. Temson.
It came out like that at the end of the day that they are cousins.
When?
That's what I was. That was, I think, you know, as we were going through the wedding, the putting up of the flags, the on that what we call it, that Sunday, the eating of the meat or certain parts of cattle there. I saw him a lot of them. Then I start also saying, aha, they are maybe related, these two. Yeah, but I cannot really confirm in the being sure when I have really detected it. I cannot confirm that. Maybe
Okay.
old age is catching up as well.
Oh, no, it's fine, I understand. But it's more or less around the time of the wedding and shortly thereafter.
Yes. I think so, my Lord. I think that's the time maybe.
So we can even say around 2011, 2012, during that period.
End, let's say end 2011, 2012. We can say that. There's no
Okay.
problem.
Okay. You need some water? Okay, that's fine.
Getting dry too much.
Okay.
Your paper.
Yes, I think the officer can bring it back.
I don't want to.
Your Lordship, I'll just have them submitted through the investigating officer when he testifies. I do not want to deal with them now. Okay, you said it was around 2011, 2012 that you became aware Mr. Temson and Mr. James are cousins.
Yes.
And what of Mr. Shangala? Were you aware of what his relationship was with Mr. James Hatuikulipi?
No. I never knew about that relationship of James and James and Saki Shangala. I happen only to learn that in the disclosure again, and also, in the disclosure, and also the mere fact that they came to the farm as well during the wedding, because a lot of people are coming there, and you never ask them the relationships. Yeah, and from our incarceration, I've also learned that they were together at university.
Oh, okay. So you're not aware that they are business partners?
It came out from the disclosure, my Lord.
All right. Now, with regard, you also testified with regard to the appointment of Mr. James Hatuikulipi in his position as chairperson of the Fish Co Board. You remember that?
Correct, my Lord. I testified on that in my evidence in chief.
Okay. Now, you did not dispute that Mr. Shangala had recommended him for that position. He had sent you a message.
2023, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's go back, 2023, this year,
No.
2013.
13, my Lord.
Right.
Sorry, 2013. I did receive a message through through a text on my cell phone about the issue of James. James is a businessman who can be of assistance to this debacle of the issue of the financial challenges that Fishco is faced with.
Who gave that recommendation?
Sorry?
Who informed you that?
It was Master Saki Shangala.
Oh, okay.
It came from Saki Shangala.
When he informed you that, in what capacity was he acting in?
My Lord, I can't recall the date of that one. But it was 2013 when I received that message, because the former PS and myself had discussions about issues that was now prior to that very message, of trying to identify people for the board of Fishco. Because the term of office of the previous board was coming to an end. So in that discussions of my peers and I, then the late Uritara Hiverwa, we in fact assigned duties to each one of us. And that was to look at possible candidates for consideration to serve on the board of Fishco. And under that very assignments of duties to each one of us, we also consulted various individuals. One of the individuals, if I have to start with the top, was Dr. Albert Kawana. I asked, Comrade Minister, can you look at, or can you provide me with a name of somebody? Because I want somebody from the Zambezi region. I didn't want just to be local Windhoek, local coast. No, I want people from the regions of Zambezi, Charango regions. And he gave me the name of Dr. Bernhard Esau. And I took that name, I noted, said I need his CV as well. And I also, I spoke to other ministers, said, Comrade Kangumu is one of the best, whom I should take into account. And then other names came up, like Sirka Usiku, who is now the governor of Charango West region. And I said, no, Sirka is a good one. I know her, she was a PS. For she should understand the whole matters. And her name was also factored in. James, I spoke to Saki because I wanted a youth component as well to come on board. Because nowadays people are saying there are marginalized groups of people, young people who are not considered for top positions, ministers, directors and things like that, or board chairpersons and things. So I got the name of James Hatuikulipi from him. I know that, my Lord, and I also got the name of Vivian Groenewald, because I wanted to at least to have a mix of of people. Vivian was from the south. He came just working here at the Development Bank of Namibia then. I don't know whether he's still there. But he was also a financial guru. He understood. He understood finances as well. And those names, plus also my PA, because my PA, at that time I was informed by the then permanent secretary that she will have to vacate her position as an economist in the ministry, and then she can serve the minister as a PA, because she must come on the sub-vote of the minister for payments and everything. And that's how we got the names, and we took the names to cabinet. I asked the PS to do a vetting on the names as well then, because it is it's a very sensitive positions that they had. So I cannot, I said that the PS was responsible for the vetting, to check out those people whom we have identified. I said fine, and that's how she prepared a cabinet memo for my signature to take it to cabinet. In terms of the State-Owned Enterprises Governance Act of 2006, amended 2008, and the Fish Co Act also taken into account, the National Fishing Corporation Act of 1991, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So what I understand from you, Mr. Hatuikulipi was recommended by Mr. Shangala.
Correct.
And you included him on the list that was sent to cabinet.
Correct, my lord, after vetting.
Okay. And you eventually appointed him as chairperson of the board.
After consulting with my PS at that time.
Okay. Now, before the cabinet memo was prepared, when the name of James Hatuikulipi arose for recommendation,
I'm listening.
did it, yes, did it come to your attention, or did it affect your decision, knowing that he is a cousin to your son-in-law?
My lord, my decision was not guided by nepotism. It was not guided by family relations. My decision, as consulted with the peers, was guided on merits. And I have read, in fact, his CV into this in my evidence in chief. I have read the relevant sections of both the Fish Co Act, the State-Owned Enterprises Act, and the amendment to the State-Owned Enterprises Act. Relevant sections, and not the PEC, not the Public Enterprises Governance Act of 2015.
All right. Knowing very well that he is a cousin to your son-in-law, you did not recuse yourself from making those recommendations.
My lord, the authorities where I took the very recommendation knew about the Hatuikulipi families. And me, I have said that I have not appointed him on the basis of nepotism, like what JFK has did with his brother, Bob Kennedy, to appoint him as an Attorney General. I have not done that. I have appointed that person on the basis of the merits, the skills that he had, and his position as coming from the financial services industry in terms of his CV. I think that he will add value towards that, not for any all what I want is to see there is a delivery of service.
Okay.
Delivery, delivery.
All right. So the issue of recusal did not pop up in your mind?
In my subconscious mind, there was no such kind of thinking, not at all, I think. And it never popped up in my mind.
All right.
Yeah, because my thinking was this sick SOE must not turn into another Air Namibia.
All right. So had it not been for your recommendation to Cabinet, having his name included there, Mr. Hatuikulipi would not have featured there.
Cabinet is autonomous, my lord. There is no way that you can influence, my lord, a cabinet decision, or you can lobby cabinet. There's a discussion in cabinet, and we had to uphold that one as a cabinet member.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I hear you. In instance, it's because of your recommendation that his name appeared there.
My recommendation was subject to discussions
Oh, okay.
by
Now-
cabinet members.
All right. When it comes to the appointment of Mr. Hatuikulipi, you are aware of the provisions of the Fiscal Act, is that correct?
Correct, my lord. Correct.
And you are aware what the Act provides with regard to the appointment of the chairperson.
That correct, my lord.
What does it provide?
It says the board members must appoint a chairperson and a deputy chairperson.
Okay.
Two.
All right. You are aware of these provisions in 2014 when Mr. Hatuikulipi was appointed as chairperson of the board.
When he was appointed by who? By me. Then,
You wrote a letter.
correct, my lord.
Yes, you are aware of that.
I'm aware that I signed a letter off.
A
The letter was signed off, prepared, and signed off by me. I have just to be clear. The higher you go, you don't compile letters and things like that as a minister. No. You don't prepare letters. No. You get letters to sign off. My lord, it was the practice, and it has been the way.
I think you submitted a copy of this letter as an
Correct.
exhibit.
It's part of the yes, my lord.
Do you have it there with you?
Lord, for the court, proceedings on behalf of my learned friend for the state, it is in bundle 2 and divider 7.
Have you found the letter?
I'm trying to locate it.
Oh, okay.
I'll find it.
Okay, I think maybe just to look at the letter of 7 May 2014, that is the letter that you signed, correct?
Correct, my lord.
Okay. Where you informed him that I am pleased to inform you that I've appointed you as chairperson of board of directors of the National Fishing Corporation of Namibia.
Correct, my lord.
And then you make reference to the provision of the National Corporation of Namibia Act and the State-Owned Enterprises and Governance Act.
Correct, my lord.
Okay. So you are the one who appointed him as chairperson of the board?
After cabinet's concurrence.
Yes.
After the cabinet's concurrence, my lord.
Yes. Now, where did you get the powers to appoint him if the Fiscal Act stipulates that it's the directors who should appoint?
State-Owned Enterprises Governance Act.
Section 15.
Before I go to section 15, go to section 13.
Yes.
Up to. Of the state-owned enterprises government. The amendment, let me see. I'm just trying to get the right section.
That's fine.
Yes.
Yes, here we are. 13, Roman 4, procedures for appointment of board members and obligations of state-owned enterprises. And I did testify in my evidence in chief on this matter as well. Application of this act. 13.1 reads as follows. This part applies in relation to every state-owned enterprise, despite the absence of any other provision. Or, and I want to go to 2, sub 2. Any provision contained in the establishing act or constituent document or memorandum of understanding and articles of association of a state-owned enterprise, which is contrary to the provision of this part, must be construed as if it has been amended correspondingly with the provisions of this part. And I want to add that the fish co was also part of an enterprise, as listed at the back. Now, in terms of this very section, that one of the appointment of the chairperson and the vice chairperson was to be construed to be amended, to my layman's understanding. And it's the way I was explained and briefed before these letters were signed off and before even the cabinet submission. Then it went further under section 15, which I testified in my evidence in chief. I know we do. Evidence in chief, 15.5b. The portfolio minister appoints the chairperson and the vice chairperson of the board. That was what the act said. And it was on that basis, my lord, that I signed off that very letter. I signed off the memo to cabinet, and I signed off the letter of May 2014.
All right. And it seems you are acquainted with the provisions of the legislation when it comes to the appointment of board members.
I did what, my lord?
You are acquainted with the provisions of the legislation.
Correct, my lord.
Okay. Were you also acquainted with the provisions of the State-Owned Enterprises Governance Amendment Act of 2008?
Yeah, my lord, I was also, because I have also testified on that as a layman, because I was not so comfortable myself in my personal capacity to appoint the chairperson of a board, but I was overruled by my principal advisor at that time.
Oh, okay.
And reference was made also to this very section 1.
Okay. No, I'm reminded by your counsel that you requested for, Your Lordship, they're indicating to me that he requested for a break for
Yeah,
his
medicine.
medication.
Medications. I must take medication.
Maybe if I can just wrap this up on this issue.
My Lord, not an application.
No, it's
There's
fine.
no application being moved, my Lord. The witness just indicated that he is under medication, severe medication.
Yes.
And remember, he testified how many pills he has to
No,
take,
it's
and
fine.
they're
It's
at prison, so he has to attend to that. That's why I asked for us to adjourn a bit earlier today.
Or is
At
it
3:30,
to
at
adjourn
3:30 actually.
earlier for the day?
Yes, my Lord. That is how I understood it. Yes.
Okay. That's fine.
Your Lordship, maybe can I just
Yes,
just put something to him and then he can comment on it. Section 15 was the section that you used to appoint Mr. Hatuikulipi, correct? In terms of the letter.
State-owned Enterprises Act.
Okay, and in terms of the amendment, it indicated there that section 15 was amended
Correct?
by substitution of section 1 for the words preceding paragraph A with the following words, with effect from a date to be specified by the Prime Minister by notice in the Government Gazette,
Correct?
and then it goes on. So there was a date on which this provision would come into effect in terms of the
Yes, my
amendment.
lord.
And are you aware that the Prime Minister did not provide this notice when?
Correct. Correct, ma'am. I am aware. Even if you go to his title and commencement.
Excuse me?
That short title.
Yes,
mm,
yes,
Commencement of that.
for that section.
Yeah, I was told about that.
All right. So basically, when you, according to your evidence, when you wrote that letter, you were relying on your own understanding of the law.
No,
And-
I was relying, I'm not the lawyer, my lord. As I said, I'm a layman.
Okay.
I was all along briefed by my principal advisor, the PS, and the administration as well, on the issue of really implementing certain sections of the acts that was under the administration of the Ministry of Fisheries, and even those that relates to the Ministry of Fisheries pertaining to Fiscal.
All right.
Mm.
Your Lordship, I think it's fine. I can continue next time with something.
Is that to say the section 15 of the Act never came into operation?
Yes, because the Prime
Yes.
Minister had to gazette
Okay.
it, Your Lordship.
All right.
Am I still to, that's the last part of it?
Yes.
On the very act as well.
You want to say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you may do
There's
so.
an exception to that provision in terms of 5, short title and commencement,
Okay.
except section 1 and 2, except. It's the other sections that is not coming into the, what's it, in operation, in commencement, with the exception of 1, which was read here, and section 3. Section 3. That's how I was briefed. Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
With an exception.
Your counsel also will be able to.
Correct.
to raise that
allocate
issue
it.
up.
Yes, my lord.
Okay. Just to say that it was a short session, only for 2 days. Thank you for your cooperation. We'll proceed again during the next admin break. That is the week of the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 26th of May. 2023. The applicant's position remains the same. Thank you. Ula John.
Let's move the call.